And hello folks, welcome tonight. Something seems to be not quite right with my intro music, but oh well, my show must go on. I'm sorry, just setting up the video input to be interesting. I have my new microphone that I'm using today as well, so hopefully the audio input will be a bit better. So, what I want to talk about today is a user experience technique that I came across while trying to deal with incorporating complex settings into an audio app. Typically, it's that sort of thing is on the list of what I have of like what are not things audio apps are not good at. If you have a bunch of different things to set, that send them to a companion website, have them do the stuff there because we're really good at that. We know how to do that, and then carry on. However, I found a way to do it that I thought came out pretty well, and I wanted to talk with you about. So the use case I had was I was adding Tailstreamer support to Six Swords. Tailstreamer is a service from the people who brought you the Magic Door. I'll put a link into the comments. That allows you to stream your output through them, and they will convert it into audio output. Okay, so using mostly, I think it's mostly backed by Amazon Poly, but it can use a few other things too. But basically the idea is you can then change the voice of how it speaks to you. You've got multiple voices to choose between, even foreign languages. You can change it in the middle of it, so this is used in narrative applications by giving a separate voice to the speaker, which is kind of cool, and you can have a bunch of different voices to choose between. You can change the pitch, make it faster or slower, and make the speed faster or slower, pitch higher or lower, speed faster, that sort of thing. So there's a whole bunch of different things, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. I want to put this into Six Swords, but I don't know really which. Should I just give them a particular voice, or really I want to give them the choice, but there's, in English language there's like 12 different voices to choose between. And you can have 5 different pitches and 5 different speeds, and there's a lot of stuff, and some of them are good, some of them are not so good, and I'm like, what's going to be best? I don't know. What I really want to do is let the user choose, and then watch and see what the user set, so that I can then, okay, get some sort of consensus, stuff like this. But that's a lot of settings. It's like, oh, pick one of these 12 voices, and one of my other rules is only give them 3 choices at any one time, and say, oh, well, do you want A, B, C, or another list of things? And that's would be really tedious to do, and I'd have to put a whole bunch of stuff into my audio model to say, oh, set voice to blah blah blah, set my set the pitch to increase the pitch, and a bunch of extra commands I'd have to add. And I'm like, so I thought about it for a while, and I was remembering back to a bunch of stuff I had done, experienced over the years. Not the first multi-user dungeon. The first object-oriented multi-user dungeon, Lambda Moo, was created by Park Xerox. These are the people who brought you the mouse. Yes, Apple didn't invent it. It was invented by Xerox. And it was a text adventure game that you, as a user, could extend, which is really cool, and I really want to do something like that for Alexa, but yes, can do that a little bit in Six Swords, but that was my real inspiration for that. But one of the interesting things is when they did this, they did just say, oh, here's a multi-user dungeon that you can have fun in. They sort of actually said you could actually use this as a conferencing tool. So you could have a bunch of people in this virtual space doing business or academic, probably more academic. They're kind of academic orientated, but I always thought that was an interesting use for a multi-user dungeon interface. Now, I don't think anybody actually ever used it for that. Second Life was similar in the sense that it's like, oh, here's a place to go have fun and build things, but it's also a place that people try to do serious meetings in, and that's a whole other topic that you can see other videos I have going back a few years. So I'm like, okay, well, that is interesting, and Six Swords is kind of that. It's this environment that you can do stuff in. So that was one stream of thought. And then I coupled it with this other stream of thought that I had done when I was doing research for Six Thieves, which was a sort of a thief-oriented game, where Six Swords is a fighter-oriented game. I wanted to create this city to explore, much like you have this world to explore in Six Swords. And that led me to some interesting stuff about Method of Loci, also known as Memory Palace. Some people might be more familiar with that term. But this actually goes back, once I started looking it up on Wikipedia, and I'll put the link to that in too, goes back to Cicero, okay, in ancient Rome. Came up with this idea of like, oh, if you want to memorize a bunch of stuff, okay, create a mansion Okay, think of all the rooms and the staircases and this and the cabinets and everything in your mansion, and in each part in each room in your mansion, put something you want to remember. And then when you want to remember it, you remember it by going to these different places, and then the memory is there. And actually, for those like people who go around and like can get the names of everybody in a room, and then an hour later come back and repeat all their names, these professional memorizers, 90% of them use that method, so it works. And biologists have looked into this, and what it is we got a whole bunch of gears in our brain around spatial awareness and spatial location. And this kind of tricks the brain into using all that spatial location stuff to identify with these nuggets of memory that we can then use that to recall. So that's kind of cool. So I thought, okay, let's put these together, okay? And let's say I have the array of things that I want the user to set, okay? 12 voices, 5 pitches, 5 speeds. If I can convey that as a geographical setting, it's kind of like creating this memory palace method of Loci thing for that space of settings. Okay, forgive me, my primary degree is in mathematics, and it's kind of how I visualize, like, we've got these fields and tensor grids. Blah. Anyway, so you have your stuff like that, and present it to the user as a geography, and let them navigate it like they're walking around, just like they do in Six Swords. Okay, here's how it came out. I'm going to demo on Google this time just to mix things up. Okay, Google, talk to Six Swords.
Sure, here's Six Swords. Welcome to Six Swords. You are on High Street, the main eastern street of the town. North of you lies Bardic College. You can see High Street to the east and west. South leads
Bardic
to
College is what I called it. North.
Singing resonates through these halls as voices are trained in all sorts of feats. West of you lies Speed. South of you lies High Street. You can see Pitch to the east. You can see Accent to the north.
North. Let's go change our accent.
Beverly is your active companion.
I guess
your
I should
other
not
companions are Nora, Philip, and Fulton. You can say about for more information about your party.
North.
The rooms and corridors from this hall contain different accent coaches. To the east you can see male. You can see Bardic College to the south. West leads to female. North leads to reset.
East.
The male accent coaches are off of this hall. North leads to human. You can see Dwarvish to the south. You can see Elvish to the east. West leads to accent.
East.
The Elvish accent coaches are off of this corridor. West leads to male. North leads to gray. South leads to wood.
South.
A command you could use is ask Aiden to stop using Hall Deed.
South.
You are now speaking with a Wood Elvish accent. The Elvish accent coaches are off of this corridor. West leads to male. North leads to grey. South leads to wood.
West.
The male accent coaches are off of this hall. You can see human to the north. South of you lies Dwarvish. East leads to Elvish. To the west you can see accent.
South.
You might try north.
South.
You are now speaking with a Dwarvish accent. The male accent coaches are off of this hall. To the north you can see human. You can see Dwarvish to the south. To the east you can see Elvish. You can see accent to the west.
West.
The rooms and corridors from this hall contain different accent coaches. To the east you can see male. You can see Bardic College to the south. West of you lies female. To the north you can see reset.
South. All right. You kind of get the point. Yes, Elvish is British accents and Dwarvish is Australian accents. So, you saw that there's a geography. You walk into the Bardic College, and it's like, oh, well, to the east are pitches, and if you went into that room, you could go, it would say, oh, to speak faster, go north. To speak slower, go south. And to hit reset, go west. Or you go back to where you were and go north, and there's the accents, and you can go east for male accents, west for female accents, go north to reset. Go one, then you go into the other room, and you got different, breaks it down like that. So, really, it's not any different from a tree. Okay, it's or a series of menus, or those horrible 1, 2, 3 prompts on a teleprompt system. I mean, from a coding perspective, from a logic perspective, it's exactly the same as that. Okay, but it's being conveyed as a geography. Okay, as in this case, as in rooms and something like that, in a building. Okay, which I think makes it more approachable. Okay, certainly there's enough users have gone into it and turned it. I made it an opt-in thing, and I don't know people playing it now that Andy is kind of like, wow, it's a lot of people doing this. They have to restrict it a little bit, or find ways to monetize. But anyhow, so my users seem to be finding it compelling, and that's kind of cool. It's obviously ideally suited for this situation here because I already have a fake geography, etc., etc. More? I think that I'm hoping you guys will find it a little more widely applicable. I think it can be used in other places. It's not a universal solution to everything, but if you've got an app and you've got some things that the user can set up that are more than just a simple 1 or 2 prompts, you could say, okay, well, say customer service, and then boom, even if your app is not a geographical based app, it just does things or whatever, that you could go into this mode and say, oh, welcome to customer service, you are now in the customer service department. To the east, you can find how to set up you find somebody to help you setting up your account. To the west, you can find somebody to whatever it is that you need to set up and whatever toggles you want them to be able to trigger, you can convey and present that way. So it's kind of like bringing a bit of role playing by creating a geography into even a non-game app or any sort of setup like that. And then and that was all done with. I already had north, south, east, west, so I didn't have to change anything in the audio model. I did that without even recertifying the skill. It was just all there because I already had that. Now, if you do it, you might want to add north, south, east, west, but you would only have to add those. Okay, you wouldn't have to add one extra intent for every single setting that you want to make. Okay, so it doesn't work great for like a list. Lists is still a problem. We were discussing this on Slack today, and lists are just hard to do in an audio app because you can't tell more than 3 things to the person. If they want to scroll up and down, it's going to take a really long time if you got more than a couple of things. But if you can convey your choices in some sort of tree where you have categorization like that, where the first categorization is pitch, speed, accent, and then accents divided into male and female, and then those are divided into regions, and then you can select once you're in that regional room. That works well, okay, because you can tree it out. You're never given more than, there's only 4 cardinal directions, so you really only have 3 things to ask the user, plus going back the way they came. And they can see it as a space, and it's oh, I haven't explored this area over here, maybe there's some settings over here, which gets to the whole discovery thing. Okay, discovery is very hard in an audio app because there's no way to clue them to what they can do. But in something like this, you're exploring, and it's laid. If you lay it out like it's a real place, then they can explore, and find the stuff that you might have settings for. So that's the method of Loci way of doing complex settings for audio apps. I think it makes things possible that were really hard to do before, and it's a technique that I like to see. Again, I think people have been avoiding complex setting because it's just no real usable way to do it. But now that it's consumable, think about it. Okay, you may have choices you can now present to the user that you may not have had a way of presenting it before. So thank you very much. I will go more into Tailstreamer itself next time. You could hear the different accents. You could hear a little bit like maybe the background music playing. There's all sorts of fun stuff you can do with that, but I'll talk about that in the next vidcast. In the meantime, thank you. I'll see if I can get my outro music to work. No. Good play, the piccolo. That's enough of that.